What's today? Tuesday, February 13th, Galentine's Day. Happy Galentine's Day to all you single ladies out there. To maybe like the one or two that maybe watch this. Today I want to talk about the new Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue, which is making waves around the internet today. But first, I wanted to talk about yesterday's video. I got a lot of good responses from the video yesterday about the supplemental nutrition assistance program. So I just wanted to read some of the comments. Let's take a look at the Wonder Wall. A lot of lively reactions, which is good. I like to see that. Obviously, I don't know everything about these issues, so I love to hear feedback from other people who might know a bit more or who have a different angle on these things. I love that. I want conversation. I want dialogue. I want to hear from you. So Mando Lopez starts off by saying, a lot of fancy words to be a DIZK. Snap food is not as wasteful as the military. You don't know what is unfair. And then he goes and says, you fail to mention national debt. This won't even do a dent on it. Trump will increase, and let's read some more because he does have more to say. So he says Trump will increase the debt by about 7 trillion, and then he goes on to say no fresh fruits or vegetables. That is just not fair. How about this? All blacks and whites leave the United States. Yikes. All you do is be a chattermouth. You never stop talking, make bad SHIT seem cool. The most ghetto and abusive SNAP recipients are blacks and whites. It just never stops. Native Americans get effed over with all the time. Check this out. When the Latinos were ravaged in the Operation Wetback in the 30s, that's why we are in a larger disadvantage than blacks. It's hard for you to see the negative because you are an Uncle Tom who don't know the struggle, apparently. Wow. So that was a lot. And I responded to him. Obviously, I grew up in a single parent household. But yes, the government does spend a lot on the defense budget. I don't know what's right and what's wrong, but obviously we have to protect ourselves from other countries. Do we need to spend as much? Probably not. There are ways that we can cut that. But yeah, just again, lively responses. Another one I thought was some good back and forth that we had was let's see, Dick Enya says, okay, consider this: most low-income people live in bad neighborhoods. Say their food is delivered to their door and then stolen. They then starve. Yes, good responses there. And then T Money had some good responses here as well. Or some good feedback. He said a family of 4 on Snap gets about $600 a month. Most people aren't wasting that on steaks and lobsters. So yes, what I did bring up was probably more anecdotal evidence than actual true facts. I welcome someone to show where that money is spent. Actually, most people also aren't trading their cards. I'm just going to go down. This is about greed, and I agree with that. It's completely about greed on the Republican side, on anyone's side. I mean, I think all politicians are in it for greed. Show me a politician that's not in it for money, and I'll show you someone that's not a politician. Mulvaney companies just gave their Wall Street donors a massive tax cut, and now they have to figure out what else to cut, and obviously the poor suffer most from that. T goes on to say this box won't be like Blue Apron because it won't contain any perishables. It's like canned meats and stuff you wouldn't feed a dog or inmates in prison. And he says he respects my platform, but obviously I need to get more facts and insights. And again, I love the feedback. I love to hear from you all. I love to see, what did I say wrong? Where can I bring some more facts in? So I enjoy this type of feedback, and I'd like to thank all those that did leave responses. So let's jump into today's story, which is the Sports Illustrated issue, the swimsuit issue, which again was released today, and it's basically, I'm reading this from the Huffington Post. Sports Illustrated isn't adapting to the Me Too era; it's co-opting it for profit. The subtitle is the magazine that monetized the male gaze for 50 years plus now wants to have it both ways. And you can see that by Ali Raceman being on the front. I'm not going to show any other images in this article because it's obviously, scantily clad women. And while it's not a bad thing for some men, I know that there are men out there who would rather not see those images because they're married. I'm married, so I'd rather just pass over them. If you want to, you can go to Huffington Post. The article's there. Obviously, you can also go to sportsillustrated.com if those type of images are appealing to you. To each his own. I do not judge. Only God can judge. So the article, the Huffington Post article, goes on to say a day before the 2018 swimsuit Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue dropped, the official SI Swimsuit Twitter account posted a photo with the caption "One Day" above a photo of a woman's midsection cutting off her head and her feet. It felt almost too on the nose, an image of a woman's body meant to tease an audience, erasing the parts of her that allow her to communicate and move about in the world. And I should preface this by saying the author of this article, her name is Emma Gray. She is a senior women's reporter for Huffington Post, and she's also coming out with a new book. And this isn't a plug; I'm just giving you some background information. It's called "A Girl's Guide to Joining the Resistance: A Feminist Handbook on Fighting for Good." So that just kind of gives you some insight on, where she's coming from with this article. So anyway, she talks about the image. Again, it's a scantily clad woman. I'm not going to show it. She's wearing a bikini. That's the image to remember as you look over the issue, the first Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue of the METOO era, as a Vanity Fair article put it. In it, you'll find a set of images of gymnasts and Larry Nassar survival Ali Reisman, posed nude with words like "Every voice matters," "Survivor," and "Abuse is never okay" written on her body. The shoot is affecting and powerful in its way. It also exists alongside the sorts of photos suggested by the teaser tweet, photos closer to what SI managing editor Andre Laguerre had in mind back in 1964 when he asked a fashion reporter, "How would you like to go to some beautiful place and put a pretty girl on the cover?" So I'll just kind of go down. So once a cultural juggernaut and a launchpad for models like Kathy Ireland to Kate Upton, the swimsuit issue has become somewhat of an anachronism, albeit still a highly profitable one. In 2013, they said the swimsuit issue itself made about 10% of Sports Illustrated's yearly revenue, which I believe, I'm not sure how many issues they put out, but that's a pretty lofty amount. How many issues do they put out? I thought it was like once a month. If it's once a month, then that kind of seems in line. So in 2018, its editors decided that the magazine needed an update. As Vanity Fair's Aaron Van Vanderhoof wrote, make a magazine where models were as much participants as they were objects. The cover of the issue is still as conveniently sexy and tropical as ever, featuring the model Danielle Harrington. She's only the third black woman to land a solo swimsuit issue cover, posing in a hot pink bikini in Aruba. But the magazine also includes a nude spread titled "In Her Own Words," in which models choose words like truth, progressive, artist, strong, woman, nurturer to be written on their bodies. In Her Own Words was shot by a woman photographer with an all-woman crew, which is a first for the swimsuit issue. And again, this is 2018, and I guess the best way we can show women empowerment is by still stripping them down, but having them write words on their body that I guess supposedly show that empowerment. So this article goes on to say the women featured in the series, and it has a list of all the women that are in this series. The photos are paired with in-depth, honest essays. Taken on its own, the In Her Own Words spread is good, this author says. The photos are pretty and the words are nice. The magazine equivalent of a friend's unejectable but ultimately forgettable new significant other. But the SI swimsuit editor MJ Day seems intent on positioning the issue as something that means more. And they say it's about allowing women to exist in the world without being harassed or judged regardless of how they like to present themselves. That's an underlying thread that still exists throughout the swimsuit issue. Indeed, no woman should fear being harassed or worse for the way she presents herself. But in the world of the swimsuit issue, the answer to a very real problem that women, no matter how they present themselves, do have to worry about being harassed, belittled, overlooked, and assaulted, is to photograph scantily clad, mostly white, almost exclusively thin women and sell those images to hordes of straight men. Now, I could have chosen any article to read about. There are plenty of them that talk about this swimsuit edition. Obviously, I felt that Huffington Post really accurately reflected my views, so a lot of these views I kind of share with the author. So I'm just sort of agreeing with a lot of the things she says, unless there's other things that I don't agree with. So the 2016 nod to body positivity was to put a plus-size model on the covers. The 2017 nod to sex positivity was a sexy photo of model Nina Agdal wearing bikini bottoms and a very cropped tank top, which read, "A woman doesn't have to be modest to be respected." The 2018 nod to an international reckoning, the Me Too movement and the Time's Up movement, is to give a woman the camera and subject her and her subjects 4 to 10 phrases, and that's what it feels like. It feels like, of all the things that the swimsuit edition could have done, they obviously still wanted to stay true to their roots, which was to show, nearly naked women, and some nice tropical paradise. And in the end, it still objectifies those women. It doesn't give them a voice because their goal is to sell a magazine that they know that men are going to pick up and simply look at their bodies. And by putting the words on their body, I just don't feel like that really has the impact that they think it's going to have. Because when you see the words, I mean, she has it written on her chest, on the side of her body, and as a male, I'm gonna look at the words, but I'm gonna, yeah, but she has a hot body. And that's like how we think. We are very objective driven, very visual. I don't even know how many men are going to read. If you ask them, if you know that little test that you take where you put up like a bunch of word cards and then you have to look at them and then you have to like memorize the words that were on those cards like 5 seconds later. If you were to put these women in front of a man with the words written on them and then 5 seconds later ask them to repeat any of it, I bet you they could probably give you the dimensions of their bust and their waist better than they could actually repeat to you exactly what the words on their body were. That's just how our ridiculous minds work. So, in Vanity Fair, Day comes off as almost comically self-congratulatory about the project. She laments that the media still propagates the idea that there's just one type of person that's worthy of being celebrated, and that no one ever gives models a real opportunity to be who they are. After all, Sports Illustrated gifted these beautiful, accomplished women the ability to speak via words inked on their naked bodies. The messaging just falls a bit flat when those photos are sandwiched between more sexy photos of all those pretty girls in those beautiful places who have yet to be given the commercial chance to be who they are. So, as we all know, just weeks ago, the World Watch's Aly Raceman stood in a courtroom in front of cameras. Her clothes were on, but she was stripped down, this author writes. She looked her abuser in the eye. This group of women you so heartlessly abused, this is what Raceman said, over such a long period of time are now a force, and you are nothing, she said. To Larry Nassar, the man who abused her and many other women. This is not to dismiss the individual empowerment that the women who participated in this or any other Sports Illustrated swimsuit photo shoot may feel. But she also puts in parentheses that the word empowerment is used so blithely and frequently that it has lost all of its meaning. And it sort of has. What is empowerment today? Is empowerment, being able to say just because I'm naked doesn't mean you can touch me? I think later on she actually talks more about what empowerment really is. Hopefully I get to it. So the production of In Her Own Words may very well have been powerful, even life-altering. That's beautiful and special. The fact that it happened within the context of an exploitative and demeaning project isn't a contradiction. That's basically the American story in a nutshell. We are just a very sex-driven culture. If you're trying to sell a product, all you have to do is put a woman in a bikini. Think about the Hardys and Carl Jr.'s commercial, or think about even the GoDaddy commercial that had Danica Patrick. I mean, you just think about some of the commercials where they're trying to sell things to you, and how many times you actually see some sort of a woman or even a man with his shirt off, trying to sell you some sort of product. And that's just the culture. That's the American culture. Going to Canada, you don't see nearly as many commercials like that as you do. And I'm interested to see what other countries are like in this matter. But to conflate an individual's positive feelings with an empowering, in quotes, end product is counterproductive and shameless. So as Jill Filipovic put it in a piece for Cosmo, and I cannot believe I'm quoting a Cosmo article at this point, feeling good is criminally underrated, and making a bunch of money sounds cool, but feeling empowered is not the same as real actual power, and this is what I was looking for. Actual power means economic, political, and social access. It means your words will be heard even if they aren't splashed across your naked body. And that's, I think, the crux of this. Sports Illustrated tried to make it seem like they were for the Me Too movement and really trying to jump in and say, hey, we support this movement, but I don't think that's really what's coming across. This isn't female empowerment. This is basically saying we recognize that naked women drive up our sales, and so we are going to exploit that, and to make it seem like we are not necessarily exploiting it, let's get Aly Raceman in here and some other women and put these words on their body to make it seem like we're being progressive in this area. and I'm just not feeling that. I'm not getting that vibe at all. I congratulate them for the attempt, but to me and to this author, and I'm interested to hear what other people have to say, this does just completely fall flat. It falls deaf for me, because at the end of the day, you're still just parading around a bunch of naked women and calling it empowerment. And I get if this does make women feel empowered, if showing, you know, your body makes you feel good about yourself, and the work that you've done, then I guess there's a certain good in that. I believe that, again, beauty is only skin deep, and we have so much more to offer than just our bodies, and sometimes even, you know, our minds. It's us as a collective being working together to accomplish something better. It's actually getting out there and you know, doing some, you know, something to help other people that aren't doing as good as you are, or are struggling. Now, if Sports Illustrated had showed these women, perhaps, you know, in a country like Haiti, helping, you know, people that are still struggling from the earthquake back in 2010, or or showing models in Puerto Rico that are helping them overcome the hurricane destruction, or in Houston or in Florida, or anything like that, perhaps then I would have said, okay, this is true empowerment, because now it's showing that these women are actually doing something in this world. Or perhaps even, you know, women that have a profession in like the engineering field or the medical field, who, hey, might also, you know, have another life as a model, and maybe doing a photo shoot with them, but also talking about, you know, what they've done. I feel like that's you know, more empowering than just showing more models half nude or completely nude or 99% nude, and then putting some words across their body as if that's really going to do anything. I'm realizing I'm doing this a lot. I hate when I do like the same thing. I got to move around a bit. But anyway, so the 2018 swimsuit issue seems to have made the women in it feel really good, and certainly made a handful of people a bunch of money. But did it bestow any real actual power on women as a whole? And this author says absolutely not, and I'd have to agree with that. And I want to hear what other people have to say. So hopefully you can share this with other women. Does this empower women? Does seeing other naked women on a magazine or in a magazine make you feel empowered? And I think the answer is going to be no, because again, one, it's showing images that are nearly unattainable. They're airbrushed. They're usually, you know, they do a lot of photoshopping to begin with to make the body seem, you know, as curvaceous and lush as possible. And it creates for women a sense of, okay, this is what I need to achieve if I'm ever to look attractive. And then it creates a false sense for men as well, because now they're saying, this is what, you know, my future wife or my spouse needs to look like, and if they don't, then blah. And that's not empowerment. It's degrading, and it's creating a false narrative for us as a species on what, you know, it means to be a human female, or what it means to be a truly empowered. Again, going back to this Cosmo quote, actual power is economic, it's political, it's social access. And if you're not showing those three things and how women are attaining that, then I really don't see how you're really portraying female empowerment. Or if you have to do those things by showing a naked female body or a naked male body, then again, I feel like you're undermining your message. So women learn early on that their greatest and primary value lies in their appearance, and whether that appearance is deemed desirable enough for men. The METOO movement is in part about exposing the ways in which women's bodies are objectified and then weaponized against them. Sports Illustrated has spent decades making big money off of that objectification, and a handful of artful nudes in big block letters does nothing to counteract that. And I wholeheartedly agree. So I'm going to end it at that. Again, you can read more of the article. It's really good to just see and hear about, you know, everything that this author says. But again, I really want to hear what other people's thoughts are, especially females. So if you can get another woman to listen to this, or just to give their thoughts on what they think female empowerment means, I would love to hear that. That's all I've got for today. I will see you all tomorrow. I got to get my girls to bed and teach them about like real female empowerment, so that they don't have to be duped by things like this. Wolf in sheep's clothing is what I think this is. This is basically saying, yeah, we're all about empowerment as long as you still strip down for us and make us money. And no, that's just not going to do it. So that's all I got. I will see you all tomorrow. Take care. Peace out. Woo!